The NBA's second in-season tournament is underway, and to the winner goes the Emirates Cup. I was aboard the 14-hour flight that delivered the cup from Dubai here to New York, and then had the opportunity to discuss this partnership, the NBA's social media strategy, and how Amazon is essential in their global growth plan with NBA Commissioner Adam Silver. We started with his thoughts on the first of its kind Emirates NBA wrapped A380.
This is honestly a thrill. I don't remember any other partnership like this where an airline like Emirates or any company for that matter has gone to this level of commitment to us. As they were saying earlier, they had to take the plane out of the fleet for something like 2 weeks in order to prepare it this way. It's not just the wrappings on the plane, you were on the plane, headrest, programming, special items that are given out on
food
the
items,
flight,
you name
the
it.
whole thing. So that I think everyone at the NBA feels really special.
What do you make of this partnership? Why was Emirates the right fit? Certainly there are thousands of companies around the world that would love to work with the league. Why are they the right fit?
I'd say for a few reasons. I'd say number one, they're one of the fastest growing airlines in the world. We're increasingly doing more business in the Gulf region. We've been playing preseason games in Abu Dhabi for the last 3 seasons now. I think they have aspirations to be even more global, just as the NBA has aspirations to be more global. So it seemed to come together in that way.
What is it about, whether it's Dubai or Abu Dhabi or the entire region, that fits well in terms of your international expansion plans?
I think, first of all, they are very international cities. Like I think of just being in Abu Dhabi where they have the Abraham Accords, a great peace treaty with Israel where you have cultures coming together. It's a very young fan base. It's one that has really growing an intense love of the game of basketball. I think that in very much, it feels like the center of the world in some ways when you're over there. And I also think what we're seeing in the Gulf region and what we're looking at and doing in Abu Dhabi, for example, it can be a hub for the broader region in terms of potential to have a basketball academy there, to have, for example, where we played in Abu Dhabi, NYU has a campus there. There's a branch of the Louvre Museum. They're building a Guggenheim Museum. Formula One is there. Disney is building there. Warner Brothers has a studio there. I mean, it's quite amazing all that's being sort of developed around that area. There's a sense of innovation, a sense of growth. Again, it feels very similar to where the NBA sees itself in the sports ecosystem.
Yeah, many people in Dubai say there's almost an American spirit there in what they're trying to do and what they're trying to build. You've been to Dubai. We just came back. What were your impressions of Dubai?
I think Dubai, it's hard to imagine anywhere else on the planet where there are as many cranes, there's as much growth, there's as many bright lights, there's just, to your point, a real spirit of can-do, of innovation. I think they're attracting capital from around the world. You see all the major brands there, and it just seems like unlimited possibilities.
So the partnership, of course, we should have mentioned off the start, is all about this in-season tournament. The Emirates Cup will be awarded to the winner of the in-season tournament for the second year in a row. What was the idea going back to the beginning of this tournament? What was the concept all about?
The idea was to take a series of regular season games and create some more sizzle around them, that in the same way that looking at European soccer leagues, that there have always traditionally been a series of cups, they're all competing for a championship. That's where we took the concept from. I think, again, the thought was in the NBA, we have a fairly lengthy regular season already. So the idea was we wanted to take advantage of games we already have, but make those games special. That was the notion. It was the in-season tournament. It's been rebranded the Emirates NBA Cup, so we're particularly excited about that. We were off to a great start. Last year, of course, James Worthy's Lakers, were our inaugural champion of the NBA Cup. And I think what this year, as we begin tonight, there's a lot more excitement because I think that both the players and teams and the fans have a better understanding of what it is. They understand the format now. They understand how you compete in this sort of in the pool competition before you get to the knockout round, the championships, which of course are in Las Vegas. So that's how it came together, and we're really excited. We're off and running today.
James said he'd like the baton to be passed from his Lakers. He wants a small mid-market size team to win the Emirates Cup this season. Part of it was obviously, to your point, juicing interest early in the season, perhaps juicing ratings a little bit, which would have been down a little bit to start the season. Any concern, any theories, Shaq, said it had something to do with the over-reliance on the three-point line.
No, I don't think it has anything to do with the three-point shot. I think it's, we're just looking at a couple of weeks of ratings. There's always some unique things. This year we were up against the World Series. Speaking of LA, Dodgers, Yankees. My Yankees didn't make it, but, two very attractive teams that had a good run that brought in a big audience. You had a presidential election, which was commanding an enormous amount of attention. So I don't think it has anything whatsoever to do with the style of play on the floor. I mean, on the style of play, I love where our game is right now. There's always things we're looking at to tweak it in various ways, but the fans are responding. We have more social media traffic than any time in our history. It's a huge global marketplace of interest in the NBA. So, as I said, we're off to a good start, and particularly excited that the Cup is about to start.
You mentioned the social media. Your director shared with me some numbers that blew my mind, that your followers doubled the NHL, the Major League Baseball, combined. Why have you guys distanced yourself so far, social media-wise, from the other leagues? What are you doing differently than the other leagues?
I would just say I don't make those comparisons to other leagues,
No,
honestly,
it was
because
hard
good
data.
for the other leagues, and I think
it was
that
hard data.
I accept that, but that's not at the league office. We're not sitting around and comparing ourselves to other leagues. And frankly, while I'm a fan of other sports and rooting for them, we compare ourselves sort of to frankly the biggest brands in the world. 2 years ago, we were one of the top 5 search terms on Google globally. The NBA, its teams, its players. So it's not just, I feel it's almost too limiting just to compare us to another sport league and when there's a global market for entertainment and sport. I think in terms of social media, we have a particularly young fan base. Most important number rather than relative to other leagues, there's something like 2 billion people on a planet of 8 billion or 7.5 billion who connect with the NBA in some way, and over 1 billion people who will watch some portion of a game. So that's particularly exciting to us. After soccer, we're the number 2 sport in the world and most likely the fastest growing sport in the world. So we just came off an incredible Olympics in France, where we had 140 NBA and WNBA players competing. Of course, you had USA, France, and 2 gold medal games, men's and women's. So, as I said, I think the best days are ahead of this league, that people love this sport. We're being embraced culturally and by governments around the world because it's boys, it's girls, it's men's and women, it's physical activity, it teaches people important values of equality, of egalitarianism, of fitness. So we're really pleased with the state of the game.
So you compare yourselves to Apple and the biggest companies on the planet?
Well, we compare when it comes to brand recognition, absolutely. And we compare
Starbucks,
to engagement and how our customers, in our case fans, connect with us. Definitely. I think it would be too limiting. And again, no knock on the other leagues, and I don't sit around saying us versus the other leagues because I hope they're doing the same thing. Their goal isn't to be bigger than the NBA. Their goal, and some of them are, of course, bigger than the NBA. Their goal is to compete for a global audience, and we see it that way. If there are 8 billion people in the world, and we're 2 billion are connecting on digital social media, there's 6 billion we're not connecting with. That's how I look at it.
Not to compare. The NBA and NFL commissioner, Roger Goodell, said they're shooting for 8 international games next year. I think you're at 3 this year. Is there plans to go beyond that? And are there certain destinations that are attractive to you?
I think the NFL is a very different approach to us. As I just said, we're just coming off, Olympic competition where, as I said, we had 140 NBA and WNBA players. So we also have different ways of reaching our international fans in the NFL. And frankly, for the NFL, where they have a much less dense schedule, it's a little easier within their regular season to play games, have ample time to travel back, a bye week or whatever else. As you said, we have 3 different opportunities this season. We're going to be in Paris in January. I was just in Mexico City a week and a half ago where we played, and we were in Abu Dhabi preseason. So there's probably not a lot more room in our schedule to add more regular season games. We'll probably continue to do more preseason games. That's something we're interested in doing. But as I said, we have ways of reaching fans globally.
And you spoke about potential expansion to Mexico City, which was interesting. Why is it an attractive market? And financially, why could it be even potentially more profitable than a Vegas and a Seattle?
Yeah, without making the comparisons to Vegas and Seattle, I would say in terms of Mexico City, 22 million people, largest city in North America, 130 people in Mexico, a gateway to Latin America, and a large Hispanic U.S. population. So I think both in terms of interest and potentially as a business matter, it would be a big winner. As I said when I was in Mexico City, I would love to expand there. I'm not sure the rest of the league is quite ready yet. I'm not necessarily comparing them, to other U.S. potential U.S. cities where we might expand. But over time, maybe when Emirates starts flying to Mexico City, that'll help as well. I mean, but it's, going from New York, as it's faster to get to Mexico City than, of course, it is to LA. So there's no issue in terms of moving our teams around. I just think that we're looking to potentially to domestic expansion first, then we'll turn at some point to other potential markets outside the U.S.
Final question. You're expanding your borders, but you're also expanding the borders of television beyond broadcast media. What is it that excites you about the Amazon opportunity? Was there something you saw with Thursday Night Football that said, yes, that was where they passed the test? That's what excites us about streaming moving forward.
I could go on for a while about Amazon, but quickly, one, in terms of Amazon, they're one of the best consumer-facing companies in the world. I mean, their ability to connect with people just beginning in the United States. I don't know about you, but how many Amazon boxes, if you saw my family.
Commissioner, 3 or 4 a day
they're lining up every day. And so they know how to market, they understand consumer taste. That's number one. Then when it comes specifically to sports, as you said, they're in the NFL business. They demonstrated that first there were some questions, not only just a year or two ago, whether that technology would hold up when you were reaching millions of people at once. They've demonstrated that, Peacock's demonstrated that, and NBC Universal, that the technology works. I'd say number 3, one of the things that excites me the most is that right now, sporting events we watch on streaming services are largely the same productions that would have been on broadcast or cable. But companies like Amazon, companies like NBC Universal, Disney for that matter with ESPN, as they begin to innovate and think, all right, now this is in essence internet television. We can customize telecasts. For people who are hardcore fans, they can hear one feed. For people who are just learning the game. For people who want more of a comical take on the game, sort of a Manning cast. Right. But there's unlimited opportunities there. People who want to shop while they're watching. People who want some sort of gamification. People want to bet, frankly, where it's legal. All those things become possible to create much more individual, personalized experiences, just like shopping on Amazon, where they know what you want, you're a shopper there.
Before you do sometimes.
Absolutely, they do, and they know what to provide you, and it's because of that great, like the selection, the enormous opportunities to buy things there, because of the ease in purchasing there. That's why we keep going back to Amazon, and I think it's going to be the same for the telecast. We're going to get people who watch to watch longer, and people who aren't currently watching the NBA to begin to watch.
It's an exciting time, Commissioner. Congratulations on this. Thank you for the time. We appreciate it.
Do I get to keep this?
You can keep that.
Yes.